Let's look at the more first of the two substantive issues we're here to look at. The International Monetary Fund has described it as unfortunate the 10.75% yield government accepted on the $1 billion Eurobond issued recently. And we've had the IMF's emailed response by a senior communications officer saying an element of Ghana's IMF support program is a strong fiscal adjustment underpinned by fundamentals, so to speak, but has been explaining why we accepted it and all. What do you make of the interest rate? What do you make of the bond in itself and also the interest rate that now subsequently we had to accept?
You know, Roland, my old man will tell you that, look, when you are hungry and you decide to eat with your two hands, it's either you are seen as a mad person or an imbecile. It is true that the economy is going through crisis. When the opposition started pointing out, when the economic team, when Baumia and co started telling them that, look, the way you're running this economy, it won't end well with you people. Initially, the usual politics came in. People started saying all manner of things. But unfortunately, those who are into managing economy, or those who have the ability will tell you that, look, you cannot have an economy, you cannot run it with propaganda. Because when you go in that line, the economy is such that it's like pregnancy. Eventually, the pregnancy will come out. You see, the early months, you can begin to say, oh, I'm not pregnant, I'm not, but it will start developing. And by the time you move to 6, 7 months, everybody will know you are pregnant. That is how the economy is. I remember even this particular Eurobond, when they started, they came to Parliament seeking for about 1.5 billion. And then we say, oh, no problem. In any case, even if you have a problem, it will be approved. So eventually, they were given the approval. They ended up going to the markets. And I think 2-3 days, we heard the interest rate was about 11%. And there is no way they were able to raise that particular bond, that is the 1.5. They went back quickly, when it came, they went back quickly and agreed to raise 1 billion with 10.75 interest. And if you listen to government communicators, they were so happy and even described that particular distance was over subscribed. You weren't looking for 1.5. You couldn't get 1.5. You got 1 billion. And you are even describing such an act that it was even over subscribed. So some of us were asking, if I went to the market looking for 1.5, I couldn't do it because of the interest. And I'm happy that people are saying that I've raised 1 billion and it was over subscribed. Some of us didn't understand, but we are not economists, so we thought it was an economic jargon. But when we started asking, we realized that no, it was just a propaganda. Okay, we went into this Eurobond market, even with the backing and credibility from
the World Bank.
The World Bank. The World Bank came to give us a guarantee. Okay, we had oil. But what is it that went wrong? We have records to compare. In 2007, we went to the Euro bond markets. We raised it. We know the percentage we paid. We didn't have oil, but the economic indicators were so sound, resilient, that the market, the people didn't have any problem. They know credibility-wise we were going to pay. After that, NDC government went once, they went twice. Okay, we saw what happened. But under John Mohammed's regime, they went again for this one, making it the second Eurobond. And they are going to pay 10.75. And you know what they tout themselves about? Oh, 15 years. And we have done it. Apart from South Africa, no country has done that. 15 years. Won't you pay? Even if it is 20 years, won't you pay? We remember, if you read the same distance, Cote d'Ivoire went doing the same thing. They went to the market to raise, and they are doing that by 6 point something. For is it Peru or which other country? They even did it less than 1%. But today, IMF, that has given us credibility. They said they went to IMF to get credibility. So Ghana, we didn't have credibility until we went to IMF for us to be credible. And besides that, we needed World Bank to guarantee for us. And we went ahead to raise not even the 1.5, 1 billion for an interest rate of 10.75. And what are we coming to use it for? If you listen to Setekpe and the NDC people, what are we going to use it for? Part is going to use to pay debts. So we borrow to come and pay our borrowing. Domestic that we are owing. We've crowded the private sector. So now we've gone to the international market to borrow and come and offset some of the domestic debts. But if you listen to people who are not politicians, people who have the ability to interrogate some of these issues will tell you that, look, it's a bad deal. But we have no choice. You see, sometimes I agree with them. They have no choice. If they don't go for this money, the economy will break. There will be total chaos in this country because as we speak, they are indebted in all sectors. Statutory funds are not flowing. They are owing. They are not paying. Get fund is in arrears. They are not paying. Salaries are in arrears. They are not paying. So they have no choice. And they are not able to generate within. So what do? They have to go for this. That's why we're saying that, look, these people are bad managers. The indicators are showing it. It's not easy. Even if you don't like somebody and the person is doing well, you will praise the person. But this one, it's not about politics. The indications are there. Everybody on the streets will tell you that this government is doing pretty bad. So the IMF has spoken. If it were Baumia who has said it, they will say it is politics. And for this one, it's about what is that? IMF. They are saying that no, this deal is not a good deal. So we expect to hear from government communicators. We expect to hear from the Minister of Finance as to whether it's a good deal or it's not a bad deal. Because these are their masters. So we want to hear from them. But some of us think that, look, it is a bad deal and it is not going to help this country. We're all going to pay. You are going to pay. Now our debt stock is gone very high. You know that? So far, we've been described as a distressed country. Our economy is in such a distressed situation. And we are piling up more debts.
Because as of July, our debt stock was about 83 billion.
83 billion.
And now we're going to...
we're going to adding this one. Okay? And if you look at GDP, while we are close of the year, we're talking about 72% of GDP. That is the country that I heard the president speaking yesterday, or I heard him this morning. He was comparing Ghana today to 70s and thinking we are doing better. Anyway, let's look at what happens.
But at the end of the day also is the advantages that the subscription of the Eurobond also comes with, because it would also enable us to put our finances right and do adequate balance of our budget. That should be good news enough for us, because it gives the country a certain respite.
What does it give us?
Respite.
So you mean those IMF people don't know what you are talking about?
Well, they know.
You see, there is no way in life, whatever decision you take won't have some positives. It will. As human beings, you have your left, you have your right. Okay? Both helps in everything. You see, but when you take a decision that the negatives outweigh the positives, then you are in trouble. I agree that per raising this bond, you're going to offset some debts domestically, and it's going to at least give some room, which we all don't debate it. Are you getting me? But if you put the whole system together, the negatives of this loan is far bigger than the positives. And for positives, they are there, one or two, which we all say, yes, it's okay. But eventually, the rippling effects are higher, are very high. And I, like I said, don't blame them too much. They cannot manage it. And they think that the best way for this country, the best way for John Mahama, the best way for NDC today is to borrow. Okay, we have borrowed to the extent that the president will stand and tell you that, look, I will borrow. You see, when you have a huge appetite for borrowing, then you are in trouble. You see, most especially when your borrowing is such that it's not going to end up generating more, then you are in trouble. Because I remember last year, the budget, when the finance minister came, he said he was going to put a peg and they were going to stop borrowing. The president went to Chebi and said, no, we will borrow. And since then, it's been borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. When are we going to end? When is this borrowing syndrome going to end?
In Parliament, as MPs, are you worried about the current state by which we're borrowing?
We are worried. And if you follow the debate everywhere in Parliament, even majority members of Parliament are worried. Some of them are worried. But our Parliament is such that, and I don't blame them, maybe if I were that place too, I'll behave the same way. Because you cannot talk. You are going to be whipped in line. And that's why we have the whips. Parliament allows you to have whips. So if any member wants to misbehave, you are supposed to be whipped online. So whether the deal is good or is bad, as the majority side, they will back it. And that is where it's coming from. It's coming from the executive wing. Okay? And the executive wing will tell that this is what we want to do. And leadership of Parliament, majority, make sure members go that way. And some of these loans, you just need majority. It's even not even counted. It's voice voting. And they just shout that, yes, it's done. So it is done. So if you go out and then you speak to some colleagues, people are worried. People are worried because NDC is not going to be in power forever. No. The debts are not going to share for NDC people to pay. No. You are going to pay. I am going to pay. So we must live responsible, such that at the end of the day, whatever decision that any person, any individual in point takes will have a benefit for all of us. So people are worried. People are worried, yes. But some won't come out openly. Listen to independent bodies. Listen to other people who have the ability to speak on these issues. Go to the universities. Go to civil society. People will tell you the rate at which this country is going. It is not the best. And what is even killing us is about the energy sector that has crippled all manufacturing sectors, both small scale and large scale. No one is producing. The energy sector has been so bad that internally we are not able to generate. So bad that you cannot generate. So things are not smooth at all. Not at all. When you walk out there, interview those who are selling pure water and barbering shop, they will tell you. They are the people who are feeling it more. We also feel it anyway because there are a lot of dependence on you. Okay, so when things are not done right, we all feel it, and we must speak out.
Okay. Well, we're hoping that at least the Eurobond will come and then it can also cushion the economy because otherwise it could be could have disastrous consequences.
Yes, that's why I said that. Look, they have no choice than to raise this money. Okay, even if it were 11% for the 1 billion, they would have still gone ahead to raise it because a lot of funds are in arrears. They don't have the money to pay. Okay, but we always talk about let's change the fundamentals of our economy. Let's change the fundamentals of our economy. But we are not doing any move. There's no any positive move towards that.
Is it that you're not seeing? It's been done and you're not seeing.
We are not investing.
Because according to
according
to the budget that was read, for which we are going to have the next one for the next fiscal year, the steps that were taken to make sure that we have less dependency or less imports as far as rice is concerned, and the export of sugar and other commodities.
Have you felt it? Have you seen it?
I don't go to the market. What do you mean?
You don't go to the market? Okay, you are lucky you don't go to the market.
You go to the market.
I go to the market. I go to the market almost every
week.
Yes.
Okay.
Take the paperwork and it's beautiful. Practically, it's not doing anything. You know, cocoa has been the leading export for us. Now look at how cocoa sector is faring. Look at how we're faring. Côte d'Ivoire today is doing about 1.7 million tons of cocoa.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. A big money. Okay. 1.7 million tons of cocoa. And when you come to quality, our cocoa, they say quality is the best. In 2000 and I think 10, 11 there, when we got about 100 million tons. Today, we are struggling.
Oh, we got 1 million tons.
1 million tons. Today, we are struggling to even make 800, 1,000. Today, the cocoa industry is struggling to even raise 800 tons. And you're telling me our fundamentals are good? Cote d'Ivoire, just a neighboring country. You see, that tells us that, look, as a nation, we are not moving into where we have to move to and save our lives.
Well, the president in a recent interview said that it doesn't just take 2.5 years to do that. It takes some time.
Is it 2.5 years? It's not 2.5 years. So, if you put Ghana after Kwame Nkrumah, take after Kwame Nkrumah.
No, we're talking about changing the fundamental. You are saying you're not seeing it. And I'm saying that when it comes to changing the fundamentals of the economy, for which your flag bearer has described it as a state of being in the Gebian economy, so to speak, it doesn't take 2.5 years, the president says.
Yes, let me tell you. After we left, Ghanaians decided to give NDC the opportunity. Our growth rate without oil averagely was about 7.5. Okay. Kufuor came 2000, and by 2008, okay, you go and look at the growth rate when Kufuor came. As at the time he was living in 8 years, growth rate was averagely about 7.5 without oil. Cocoa sector, prudent measures. As at the time we were living, we were doing close to 750 tons. And this cocoa spraying and everything, the measures that were put in place, by 2010, 2011, we've hit a 1 million. Okay. So you look at fundamentals. You look at the measures that Kufuor has put in place. When he came and took over, and where he's left the country. So at least the economy and everything was at least, so the bases were right. When Mills came, we all heard how they described the economy. We all heard how they went to the IMF and described the economy. But eventually today, where we had oil, okay, God has been so generous to this country. Because any time we cry that we don't have something, he gives us. When we didn't have oil, we were crying, oh, oil this, oil. Then God decided to give us oil. Today, projections, we are growing at 3 point something, 3.5. Okay, that's the growth rate of this country. Although we got to 1 million, today we cannot even produce enough cocoa. Go and look at the education sector. All social interventions.
Well, the president his government is building new schools, and some of them have already been inaugurated for senior high schools.
The 200 secondary schools. They claim they have. They said they were going to do it.
It's not a claim. We've seen it on TV.
It's just one. How many?
Two. Yesterday, I think.
How many secondary schools did you see?
2. So far, we've seen
out
2.
of 200.
We've seen 2. One at the Chum and the other one.
Out of 200, you've seen 2. It's good. Who says it's not good? It's good. What in measuring development, you look at your input against your output. If your inputs are more than your output, you've not done anything. Okay, they've told us that they're going to give us 200 new secondary schools. Okay, we are in the 3rd year now. At least we've seen 2. It's not a bad idea. 202, they sound alike. Okay, 202. So let's wait and see by close of the year, close of next year, and we'll see the number of secondary schools they've been able to do. But that is not what we're actually looking at. Because if it's about road, it's about this, we always love to quote President Mahama when he said that, look, every government build roads, every government build hospitals, every government build schools. Okay? If you are a government and you come and you are talking about it, it's an excess of mediocrity. So those things, let's leave them. And let's look at bread and butter matter. Let's look at the economy.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look at how people are feeling today. How many students can go to school today? Because to go to even a training college today, you need to raise about 2,000 to be able to pay your school fees. How many average parents can afford?
I hope you are not saying that all sectors of education should be free. But at the end of the day, let's change the subject.
But they've introduced the progressive free education, and every child is paying 38 Ghana cedis. That's how they call free, 38 Ghana cedis. Progressively free education. So that's it.
You may be on recess as Parliament.
We are.
Do you have past private discussion as to when you have given indication or you have had indications of when the power badge will be coming? We're told that it's November 10, but do you know specifically when it may be coming?
Hey, but they've told us November 10th, so that is a specific date. And I think I was talking on one media and I told them, I just pray that November 10th now become November 10th. They started by April, and giving us all the assurance that it was going to come in April. Unfortunately, it did not work. They moved from April and came to September. It did not work. From September, they came to October. It did not work. Today, we've been told yesterday that November 10th, they expect the power badges to come. And when it comes, it takes 2 weeks for them to hook us to the national grid. So, roughly, God's willing, by 27th or 24th, okay, we should be having these power badges practically operating, not talking and talking again. But I was just listening to one of your guys, your panel, the guy you invited here, one Dr. Aka.
Yes, from ASEP, exactly. The Africa Center for Energy Power.
Thank you. And he was telling us the loom. I read it from my joy, Dr. Rekubrube, also saying the same thing. We are indebted to the Nigerians to the tune of about $180 million. And if we don't pay, they're most likely to cut the supply. So even if the power budget should come, and then we've not made any effort to be able to settle these Nigerians, and they decide to cut supply, per the figures he put here, we're talking about 900 megawatts of power. It's going to be off. And if you read the story too, we are also indebted to Atiabo Gas about $100 million dollars, or is it Ghana cedis, that we have to pay. So some of these things are what we think the government should proactively be doing, because these are the things that moves the nation. And for 200 secondary schools and all those things, it's good. It's good news. Who says it's not good? It's good. But if your whole country, you cannot solve your power problem for almost 4 or 5 years now, then how do you expect to grow? How do you expect to triumphant? It cannot happen. It doesn't just take magic for you to do it. No, it doesn't. So they should look at it as early as possible, because if Nigeria decides to cut the supply, we'll be in trouble again. And he said it's not going to be 24 hours dark, 24 hours light. I think that's what he was telling. Now we are lucky, we are doing about 12 hours. So you at least you go to your house, today you get light, tomorrow you don't get.
Haven't you had consistent power on for the last couple of months, I believe, or weeks?
In your area?
No, in your area. I'm not talking about my area, you.
No, I don't have lights more often. Once in a while, sometimes.
So you use generators?
I don't use generators. I sleep in it like that. I don't use generators. I don't have money to buy a generator. In any case, sometimes your neighbors don't have generator. You spark, you make a lot of noise.
So you may have to make sure you don't inconvenience anyone.
You know, yes. Sometimes all of you just try. Because if I go to my village and we don't have lights, I sleep in it like that. So I don't have any problem. The only thing is that now, when I have lights, I try to iron almost all my clothes. And if unfortunately I don't iron, then I have smokes. So if I want to go, I just put on a smoke. You don't need to iron. Yes.
Strategy within the doomsday period. Thanks very much. Martin Njendam is a member of Parliament for Pandai, and he's a member of the MPP as well, and joining us this morning to help us do our discussions this morning on AM Talk.
Thank you.